Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I guess, your co host today. Yeah, we're co hosts here. Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is Chalk Talk Between the Lines with Beam 'em Up Scotty Webb for Sunday, April 2nd, 2023, the first weekend of baseball. Uh, Trace Thompson. Have you heard of him? If you haven't, you have now. Some amazing blunders. It's a stolen base world. I think the Orioles are 10 for 10 and should have won again yesterday. Kind of a crazy finish. Hats off to the Sox for rallying the troops. Opening day, they came up short, got too far behind, had the tying and winning runs on, and couldn't capitalize. Blunder in the ninth with two outs, and then a home run by Adam Duvall. Sox win. Sox win. The Sox win. I don't know how many times I'll be saying that in April, so I had to get that one out. But we're here on Sunday to break down what has happened, maybe a couple injuries to talk about, and then, of course, big board, all the ECSI VIPs. Just how we drew it up. I'll just say that 6-0 this weekend. 6-0, 7-1-1 our last 9 games. Baseball, what we started to do this year is just this first weekend, maybe into next week. We went half units. We've had, I think we're 3-1-1. We had the over in the Giants and Yankees first 5 yesterday. On Friday, we had the over first 5 in the Guardians Seattle. Our only loss this year so far in bases, it was the Twins' first 5 minus the hook on Thursday. And of course, they leave, bases loaded in the first and in the fifth, second, and third. And of course, they scored 2 runs in the sixth. We know how that is. But anyways, blessed and honored to have the man with the plan from the Palm Tree State himself, the one, the only, Mr. Scott E. Webb. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Jeff. How are you on a bright, beautiful Sunday?
I'm doing it. It's a little brisk here in Cape Cod. This morning was up early, got a lot done. We're here doing the show. We got to get the guests lined up for this coming week. It's Masters Week, so it's a big week in golf with Brady Cannon. You and I will be here Tuesday and Thursday night. We'll be here on Sunday mornings or Saturdays, depending upon schedules. NHL, NBA playoffs getting close and closer, but it's baseball time. And as I sent you in that text, I think it's going to be a cold April for my Red Sox. No Bello, no Whitlock. Sale just a shell of himself, and use that word shell because he got shelled yesterday. And, I know it's the first start. I get that, okay? But when you're just cashing checks year after year and getting in accidents on your bicycle, we kind of need you here, Chris, and just not what the locals were looking for, Scott.
Well, I think it's a long season for Boston. Just look at what you're doing against Baltimore, right? These are the 2 teams that are supposed to be kind of competing League East in the bottom there. And can you really tell me that the offense even stacks up to Baltimore's offense? I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I think Baltimore. I think Baltimore is an overlooked offense, and I don't think they got great pitching, but over the course of time, and they got money now to spend. So, and Gunnar Henderson hasn't done anything except walk. So, once those guys get going, I thought that lineup was pretty good, 1 through 5, and we'll see how it plays out. But when I pull up the metrics, the number 1 offense in all of baseball is not the Texas Rangers, even though they scored 27 runs. It's the Baltimore Orioles. So the Baltimore Orioles number one in offense. So that could say two things, right? It could say, hey, the offense is really good, or it could say the Boston pitching really sucks. So it's one of two things, and it's probably a combination of both.
Um, I'd say a combination of both. I'm infatuated, enamored. I don't even know the right word to use about Mr. Oshman. He is. I go back to last year, his first game, and he's shaking the umpire's hand, and he's looking like in awe, like to say, "I made it." And he's just what a baseball player is. Starts the year 5 for 5, gets a hit to start yesterday. I'm like 6 for 6. I'm like, OMG, here we go. But the young, youthful team. Grayson Rodriguez, they sent down to just sharpen up. He'll be up sooner than later. They won't make the same mistake last year, holding him back and then getting injured. But it's a team that, I call them gritty. I call them pesky. And that's what the Orioles are. And that's what those young teams are. Feisty, whatever you want to call them. They're not going anywhere, meaning, you can beat them 10-0 one day, and then the next day they're going to put up a crooked number in the first, second, and third against you. And I think the Sox, I think before the season started and all the injuries, I thought I was okay with the Sox rotation. And in the back end, to an extent, I was more worried with the offense. But the offense has done okay. Again, no Bello, no Whitlock, Sale. You lose Evaldi, you lose Walker, you lose Hill. These were all guys that were very productive. The Evaldi one, they're not going to be able to replace. If they could have got rid of Sale and kept Evaldi, obviously it would have. But we haven't even talked about the Yankees. We haven't even talked about Toronto, and we haven't even talked about your Rays. So it's going to be a long season.
Yeah, I think so. I think, the Yankees have their own troubles. And I think Toronto is going to be the team to beat in the East. And I think the Rays are doing what the Rays are supposed to do. You go play against the Detroit Tigers and you're a better team. They just beating them up. So, it just kind of is what it is. The Rays will have to see what kind of offense they have when they play the good teams, and then they're not going to go score 10 runs when they got to face Carlos Rodon or somebody. So we'll have to see how that matchup kind of plays out. But it's interesting how the games have played out. I've been really trying to figure out a little bit of what the Dodgers are going to look like, and I've been pretty impressed with a little bit about what they look like. They have some energy. They have some things going for them. They got beat by the Diamondbacks on that home run there 2 nights ago. And then they go out and scored a bunch of runs yesterday. But I mean, who's not going to score a bunch of runs? I mean, you and I could go out and go beat up Bumgarner at this point. So I think it's one of those where we'll see how was it his name Outman, how he plays for the Dodgers. He didn't even play yesterday, so. I don't know. We'll have to see. I look for the Dodgers to have a good start because they don't play anybody this whole month. So we'll have to see what San Diego does in terms of rebounding from the first couple of nights when they got beat up by the Rockies, and then see kind of how these teams go. I was impressed to say that. The Angels, they got beat up the first game against the Oakland A's. And I'm like, what the hell's going on with this team? And then all of a sudden they come back and they scored 10 runs in 1 inning or something like that yesterday. So, there you go. They started hitting. They're going to hit. It's a matter of whether they can pitch. So I was kind of impressed that they came back a little bit yesterday. I don't know if the Kansas City Royals are ever going to score a run. They haven't scored yet. And, that was one of the things we talked about coming into the season was how unexpected the Minnesota Twins pitching is. And it's quite possible their best pitcher is pitching today. So, Joe Ryan's pitching today. So are they going to score? I don't know. I think the wind's blowing out like 50 million miles an hour today. So maybe they'll get lucky and hit one up in the air or something. But it's one of those, we're now in it. You can now see the teams a little bit. You can get a feel for them. And what do they always say? This is overreaction to the first things you see, kind of thing, all the time. Um, but I will say this: I still can't figure it out. Um, those Boston Red Sox numbers, the lines against the Baltimore Orioles, are outrageously crazy every single day. You're talking about the Red Sox being minus 150 every day, and they're not minus 150 better than this team, no matter who's pitching. So, you take your shots, and you could take a shot again today. Baltimore should have won yesterday. They dropped the fly ball. Otherwise, the other guy wouldn't even come up to bat. But I think that's what you're going to see a little bit with Baltimore. As I said, they're the number one rated offense, but they are by far the number one worst rated defense so far. And of course, what is that, 2-3 days in? So that doesn't mean it's all going to shake out that way. It's just that's the way things are as they get started.
I'm looking at everyone knows here. For us, for me, it's the week's complete. We end the week 9-4-1 plus 4.30 units. We do a Sunday FUNday action parlay. We call it Quicksand Sunday. And you know what? I love Sundays in baseball because you look at these numbers and people that are waking up with a big melon, they're hungover, they're chasing. They're looking at who's the biggest favorites because they can't lose. Well, on Sunday, it's all hands on deck. Anything can happen. But Scotty, what's really interesting here is I'm going through the pitches, okay? Schuster, Senga, Wentz, not Carson. I got more. Waldachuk, Brito, start me. I mean, there's some guys here like, who the bleep are these guys?
Well, the Senga guy you're talking about, that's Kodai Senga. He got signed by the Mets in the Japanese league. He's really good now. You want to watch a guy throw and throw hard, he's going to be in a 99, 98 mile an hour. I don't know if he'll hit 100, but he's that kind of guy. And you know how it is with the Marlins. They don't score. So that's an interesting matchup. And the one thing I will tell you that I think, well, I guess this is a hint here. I'm pretty big on tracking what happens to these guys over one season to the next and where they're at in velocity and things. And when they start to drop, they get hit. And your boy who I think you like, the guy pitching for the Marlins today, I can't think of his name right off the top of my head without looking. Have to look. And I can get it in a second. It is there you go. Rogers is pitching today. Rogers has a velocity drop of almost 2 miles an hour in spring training. I think he gets hit. So I think Kodai Senga is a pretty good matchup for the Mets. I think you got a guy that's going to go out there and throw, pretty close to 100 miles an hour. Miami's not seen him. Miami has seen Rogers a lot. That doesn't mean that Rogers hasn't pitched well against the Mets. But it does mean that, he's got some velocity issues and he had a bad year last year. So I'm kind of looking at it like I think this is a good capitalization spot where you're getting Senga at a pretty good price because as people figure out who he is and what the line's going to do when he starts pitching, I don't know that he's going to look like a Justin Verlander or an Ohtani number, but it's going to go up. So if you want Mets, it's a good day to bet Mets. I did. But it's a good spot. So there's a couple other guys today that I think velocity wise drops have issues, and I don't know if you've been watching Chris Bassett's velocity, probably not, but he's down more than 2 miles an hour in the spring, and now he's going to face a team that can hit. So I kind of like that kind of scenario too, because I think people think, that the Cardinals aren't the Cardinals. I mean, the Cardinals can hit. I mean, they're an all-star hitting team. And in my opinion, the best pitcher that pitches for the Cardinals is pitching today. And you can get them at an even price. Okay, well, sign me up. I'm all in. I'll take them. And I get it. I know they're playing Toronto, but whatever. I mean, it is what it is. Now, I will say this, and this is one of the things in baseball that you have to do. You need to know who's going to pitch in the back end today. So when I pulled them up, and I got that number right here in front of me. So last night, Saturday night, the Cardinals, Ryan Helsley, he threw 23 pitches. Jordan hits 20 pitches. Drew Verhagen 14, and Andre Palante threw 14. But the two key guys are Helsley and Hicks. They both threw over 20 pitches. They're not going to pitch today. So that tells me if I like the Cardinals, I'm playing first five, period. That's it, first five, and I'm not going to put it into the bullpen. I'm going to let Montgomery do Montgomery things and hope the offense hits Bassett and be done. So I kind of like that kind of an idea, right? When you're doing these games, and you and I know this. I mean, when you're if you're new to baseball, there's two parts to this game. You got the starting pitcher, and then you got the bullpen. And bullpens have an A people and a B people. And when the A people can't pitch because they pitched the night before, you need to know that. So you can't count on them to close out a game for you because they're not going to be available. So you either bet on the starting pitcher or you sit there and start to look at it in terms of overs and unders. And if your B people are pitching and you got to say another team's B people are pitching in the bullpen, you're going to get an over because nobody is going to get outs in the back of the game. So the starters might do pretty well, but they might give up 7 runs in the backside.
And for what we've done to start and where I'm looking, again, we've had the most success last year. It's funny when you get to baseball, of course. What do you look at? You look at the starting pitching. What do you look at? You look at obviously the sides. Do I like the home team? Do I like the road team? God bless.
Sorry, thank you.
Do I like the over? Do I like the under? Who's behind the plate? There's a million ways to spin this, but then again, you're bringing in more variables. If you're playing a one side, okay, well, as you just said, well, do people have the time, or do they even want to say, what's the bullpen look like? They're just like assuming we're all set. And my point is, what we've done this year, just to start, we're looking at team totals. We're looking at first fives, like numbers that look so crazy. Do the Red Sox Orioles with Chris Sale on the mound yesterday? First 5 under over was 5. It stuck out like a sore thumb. The Yankees and San Francisco first 5 under over was 4.5. And we had the over on Thursday's game with that. My point is we're looking for numbers that stick out like sore thumbs. Is it a team total? Again, you're so early in the season. You're coming off a WBC. You got weather. Like it monsooned here Friday night. I didn't even know if the Sox were going to get the game in, And on Thursday, the wind was blowing 30-mile-an-hour gusts from third base to first base. I mean, it's like, looking for as a kid, you're looking to get that fly ball and you're going around like this. I mean, there are so many variables. So hone in on your skills. And for someone like yourself that has more data than NASA, it's a fun time of year.
Oh, no question. I've been up since 3:30 this morning. So, it's look, man, baseball season's here. I don't sleep. So it is what it is. I'm good. I'm comfortable. I think I went to bed I got up at 3:30, started doing some stuff, went to bed, I think around 6:30, got up at 8:15, and whatever it is, what it is. So that's just all part of it. It's all the fun and games that goes on. But for me, it gets more in depth because, right now I'm just going off of certain things and matchups and different stuff. I'm not even using any data yet. So it's kind of like, okay, well, we got to get some data in here, guys. And then a week or so that I can start using offensive data, and then in a couple of weeks I can start using pitching data because it'll be the guys that we have started a couple of times. So it'll be a lot more fun for me and a lot more specific for me. But there's a couple of notes maybe I can hit you with. one of them is that I'm charting. Here they are. So over the first couple days, I try to chart as much as possible because you can't get this information in every spring training game. For whatever reason, they don't have Statcast information available whether doing fastball, velocities. But so these are the guys who are having trouble throwing hard, or they dropped in velocities. And then tell me if you just off the top of your head you can recall how they turned out, right? So Patrick Corbin, how'd he do?
Last.
No.
Next.
First start. He's throwing 90 miles an hour. He got smashed, right? How about Corey Kluber?
We're still looking for a few of those balls that he gave up.
He got smashed, right? So how did Jack Flaherty do yesterday?
Surprisingly, and you don't talk about this, or people don't realize this. He weaseled out of the first inning. Jays had bases loaded. He actually survived and advanced.
He had 7 walks yesterday, and Toronto just couldn't hit the ball when they had guys on base. So he survived somehow. But Jeff, he's down to 91 miles an hour.
And you know this, and I was talking to someone yesterday about this. When a pitcher has 7 walks, there's something wrong. He knows there's something wrong. And I'm not saying he was pitching. Some pitchers pitch to contact, some pitch for no contact. He wanted no part of that lineup. He would have been better off taking the 0 and say, hey, pick me up next week when we play someone other than Toronto, because I can see there's an IL stint coming real quick with this kid.
Probably. How about Madison Bumgarner, 89 miles an hour? 89.
Hey.
Gave up 5 runs to the Dodgers in the 1 inning.
Can you just give a little what Mr. Trace Thompson did last night?
Well, Trace Thompson set a Major League Baseball record yesterday for a debuting player. He had 8 RBIs and hit 3 home runs. That's not bad for a kid that didn't even start opening night for them or even the next night. So the Dodgers have some kids. So we'll just have to see. I mean, I don't expect him to be that kid. He's not that highly touted prospect that goes out there. He's not Gunnar Henderson or Wander Franco. Let's put it that way. But hey, if you hit 3 home runs, drive in 8 runs, that's a pretty good night, I think.
How come? And listen, you have a farm system. Okay, there's certain teams with farm systems. And we have guests on the show that I have to listen, like Dodge live from LA. And we have a couple of them that they're not worried. They're not worried. Leaves, Turner leaves. It's just next man up. And I get so sick of hearing it. But with the Dodgers, it's just next man up.
Well, Outman hadn't even played yet much. He's supposed to be their better outfielder. So we'll see. I mean, I don't know. Here's what I'll tell you is once they got PEDs out of the game, these guys aren't 40 years old running around on the field hitting home runs anymore. The way you win is you get these 20-year-old kids that can play, and you put them out there and let them play. And that's what's exciting and fun. And then the teams that are actually really good are a mix of all of those guys. They got 2 or 3 superstar players with 2 or 3, prospect kids that are really good. And then all of a sudden this team's really good. So if you don't have that, you don't have a pipeline of the kids that are coming, you're not going to do real well. And, to be honest, I think Boston's in a struggling spot with a lot of that. Now they got a shortstop that's coming, but we'll see how it all comes out. We'll see how Cassis does and some of these other players. But it's the Dodgers are something. And you know what? You bring up the just to throw another name out there, Taj Bradley. Have you heard of him yet?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Taj Bradley's a pitcher in the Rays organization, and he's the next one. So, you got these guys that their arms fall off, and you get Shane Bazes of the world who's go out there and just do lights out stuff and then go get Tommy John. Well, oh, let's put in Taj Bradley. Okay, well, he goes out and does the same thing. So we'll see how it goes for some of these guys. But so um, the one guy I'm kind of impressed with so far is Pablo Lopez. The Twins got him from Miami, and they got him pumping up. Now, you don't see this that often, but those guys go to school. They go to drive lines in these academies now, and those guys get specialized training, and they go learn how to use the Rapsodo machines and all that stuff, and all of a sudden the spin rates change and the ball moves for 75 feet, and they throw the balls 3 miles an hour faster. Well, this kid already threw the ball pretty hard, and he threw 95 miles an hour, and he was at 93. So that's pretty good jump. And when you go from 93 to 95, batting averages go down, on base percentages go down, and if you can throw strikes, look out. I mean, like the Twins are going to be good, man. They're good. Now, if they can ever hit, I mean. We sit here and make fun of the Royals, and because the Royals haven't scored yet, but the Twins I think won 2-0 and 2-0. So they ain't really out there scoring, but they got some talent. They got better players than what I think some of the other teams do. So we'll see. Cleveland has been good to start. That's another team that they just play well. So. Do a lot of things good. They won again last night. So I don't like them so much today because I like them in the underdog role. I don't like them to necessarily be a road favorite. But you match them up and you start looking at who's on that team, and even against the Mariners. Everybody likes the Mariners, but you take Rodriguez off that team, and what do they got? So I sit there and go, okay, well, Ty France isn't that guy. He's not Julio Rodriguez, right? So I sit there and think, okay, Mariners are in trouble, and Robbie Ray's already on the table list.
I told you when we were doing our preseason stuff, they go as far, and I know Rodriguez is the kingpin there, and they have some good arms, they have a good back end. But what did I say? They go as far as Kelenic goes, meaning Kelenic needs to make that next jump.
Well, I think he's off to a decent start. I mean, he hasn't been hitting home runs or nothing, but he ain't been out there striking out all the time. I looked at what Joey Gallo is doing because I'm like, oh, look, the Rangers are hitting the ball, and I'm like, oh, he don't play for them no more. And I go, oh, well, shit, I got to go fire. Where does he play? Oh, he plays for the Cubs. And you know what? I think he's bad. When I looked, I think he had like 6 at bats and 4 strikeouts. Like, yep, it's Joey Gallo.
Well, him and Bellinger. Bellinger's the same way.
Yeah, so I sit there and go, okay, all these people that were high on the Cubs, I get it. Look, if those guys turn things around in their life, they got deal of the century, right? I mean, those guys couldn't play for the teams that they left. So if they couldn't play for the teams they left, you got a whole bunch of also-rans. And if you got a whole bunch of also-rans that just wake up on the blind side of somewhere and then they start hitting the ball again, well, good for you. But I don't think that's kind of how it works. You know what's going to be funny is when you start to think about the Dodgers and, all this stuff. Jason Hayward made that team, for God's sakes. Jason Hayward made the Dodgers.
Because they showed him in the offseason going to that class that you're talking about, actually raking the ball. And that was like one of the big videos on social media. And I knew a lot of people that actually drafted him late in their fantasy baseball teams because of that video.
Well, those schools matter, and if you want to be good, you get specialized training on things. They're not going to go change your swing. They're not going to go introduce new pitches per se, but they are going to show you how to hold the ball a little different. They are going to show you how to grip the ball a little different. They are going to show you how to get different spin rates and get different movements on the ball. They are going to show you how to focus your eyes on the ball and read pitches and do different things to help you. So there's a lot of stuff that those guys can do. And some of those guys are actually getting jobs in Major League Baseball right now. So some of those guys are getting hired out of those schools to run their stuff at major league camps.
It's Sunday. We got a bunch of people that got up early with us. Scotty, I'm gonna, instead of just running all the games down, I'm gonna give you the board right now. Tell some people some breakdowns, or you can just tell them what plays you have in pocket, maybe some leans, some leftovers on the desk. As again, it's the first Sunday of 6 months of Sunday in baseball, so these guys might be able to, you might be able to push a few winners, might be able to get them off a few sides, yada yada yada.
Well, there's a couple things here. I think number one, you got to remember what day it is, and Sunday is an important day in Major League Baseball because it's a travel day. We call them travel days because the next day is the travel day. So managers like to take stars, especially older stars, and rest them on Sunday, so they get Sunday, Monday off, and then they play again on Tuesday. So they get 2 days off, get them off their feet, get them more comfortable. But having said that, this is the beginning of the season. Looking at a lot of the lineups that have been posted today, I don't see that happening as much today. A lot of times you'll get a secondary catcher play today, that kind of stuff. So you got to be a little bit careful on Sunday of all days because that kind of happens a lot. Managers do that. But having said that, there was some interesting things. You brought up some of the pitchers and the names of these guys and some of the things that is out there today. I thought that an interesting matchup is the one in Atlanta today, where you have Schuster's going to pitch today, make his major league debut. He's a good kid pitcher for the Braves, but he's going to go against Mackenzie Gore today, and Mackenzie Gore is a former major high number one type prospect, he's going to pitch today, and he's pitched against the Braves, and he's pitched pretty good against the Braves in the past. So this is an interesting matchup. Now they can't compete when it comes to the offense. So if you're going to look, Nationals or try to surprise something somewhere, it wouldn't hurt to throw a little sprinkle on the Nationals in the first 5 or something like that. Get plus a half a run or whatever, something along those lines. That's an interesting kind of look. I still think that Irvin and the Baltimore Orioles are going to be plus money. It's too high, Jeff. I think, I get it. Houck's pitching, and Irvin, came over from Oakland last year, but he's the best pitcher Oakland had. Caprillion actually pitched pretty well towards the end of the season, but at the beginning when he came back off the disabled list, holy crap, he just lofting, softballs in there for people to hit. And Irvin kind of helped everybody hold things together. But Irvin's kind of shut down towards the end of the season. So this isn't the end of the season. So I expect him to pitch halfway decent, and I expect Baltimore to hit. So Houck better be good today. Otherwise, I think that gives them a chance. Like I said before, I think Senga's a bet. I already made it, so I like Senga in the Mets today. If you're betting Pirates and you're betting Reds and you're betting sides, you're crazy. You got to bet either overs or unders. Both of these teams are terrible. So who cares who wins? Just how many points are they going to score, right? So it's a matter of whether you like Vasquez to give up a lot of runs or Ashcraft to give up a lot of runs. And Ashcraft's a better pitcher, but I think the number is like 8.5, 9 or something. So I stayed away from that. I don't like Clevenger at all. I think Clevenger is going to get beat up this year. He got exposed, as far as I'm concerned, for Chicago White Sox now, but he pitched for the Padres last year, and I thought he got exposed. Now I get it; he was hurt a little bit, and now he had that off-season nightmarish problem with the whatever was going on in his family life. But Garcia's a good pitcher, and I think we've seen that Houston's a good team even without Altuve out there. So the trouble is figure out how do you bet that game. Where do you find line value? How do you get it in there? But if I was going to do it, I'd probably play Astros in the first 5 innings, maybe on the run line, something like that. Minus a half run. and maybe even a team total with the Astros. I don't know what it is, but I would say something along those lines. I like the Twins again today. I think the Twins sweep the Royals today. I think Joe Ryan has a good game against Keller. Keller has not fared well his last couple of starts against the Twins, which are this in 2022. Prior to 2022, he was a pretty good pitcher against the Twins. But prior to 2022, he was a pretty good pitcher, period. So I don't think that has to do with the matchup of the Twins. What it is Keller's a sinkers ground ball guy, and if he doesn't get sinkers and ground balls and get the ball on the ground, he's going to get killed. So the wind, I think in that game is blowing out like 20 miles an hour. So I don't think that favors Kansas City. So I think Byron Buxton and Correa and those kind of guys. I think that favors them. Max Kepler's, I'm sorry, and Trevor Larnach and those guys. I think they're going to have a pretty good day again today. The Toronto game, I love this matchup where you have Toronto and St. Louis. Because we sit here and talk about the American League East and we think Toronto is the best team in the American League East, but I got to tell you, St. Louis is holding their own against this team, and that tells you how good St. Louis is, not how good Toronto is. It tells you how good St. Louis is, because St. Louis doesn't have the pitching that all these other guys do, but they do today. So I like the matchup today, especially in the first 5 innings with Montgomery. I think Bassett's got a problem. Something's wrong. You don't lose 2-3 miles an hour and not get hit. Now he can pitch and he's a bulldog kind of guy, so we'll see how it matches out. But I took first 5 there, St. Louis there. I think Milwaukee's a good play again today. They won yesterday by the skin of their teeth, and I think all these games are going to be skin of their teeth kind of games for Milwaukee. The time you bet on Milwaukee is when their offense is hot. If their offense is hot, you can't bet them because they're going to pitch and keep you in games, and they're going to do that again today. Eric Lauer's pitching today, and everybody thinks Eric Lauer's like a guy he's the ugly step duckling or whatever, because he's not Brandon Woodruff, he's not those guys that are on the top end of that rotation, but he can pitch. And he's going to finish Jameson Taillon today, and Jameson Taillon, not that he's a bad pitcher or anything, but he's pitched against Milwaukee. He's got beat up a little bit, so I kind of like the idea here that Milwaukee's a better choice. My numbers actually have Milwaukee as a very, very slight favorite, but as a favorite. And they're a dog today. So if you like Milwaukee, that's a good one. Angels, okay. Well, if you're going to bet Angels, it's just cost a lot of money. But Waldichuk, you asked about Waldichuk before. Waldichuk pitched against the Angels last year. He threw a game score 74 in that game. He pitched 7 innings, gave up 1 hit, no runs against the Angels last year. So he's faced them before, and actually not only has he faced them, he shut them down. That doesn't mean he's going to do it again today. That's another one where, looking at velocity, for example, the first game out, Kyle Muller or whatever, I think that was his name, Kyle Muller pitches for Oakland, shut down the A's. Well, his velocity was down 2 miles an hour. He just got the ball where he needed to get him to get the outs. So he's a guy you want to bet against the next time because he's going to get hit. People are going to go out there and go, oh, he shut down the Angels. So let's bet on him a little bit. You might get it's the A's. So, depending on who they pay, you might have to figure out how to bet that game. But he's going to get hit. So, anyway, so what else we got going on? Oh, there's a good game. Syndergaard pitches today against Davies. And, Davies been around the block forever, and he just – he's one of those guys that's used to throwing to spots, and if he hits a spot, he's going to be pretty tough. If he doesn't hit a spot, you're going to hit home run after home run. So, maybe you want to live bet that game and see kind of what he looks like. But Syndergaard, I told you at the beginning where all the reports were he's back to being Thor again. He ain't that. He's not throwing 98 miles an hour. He's throwing 93 at the most, 92. then he's going to have to learn how to pitch. And of course, when you're with the Dodgers, you can learn how to pitch. So hopefully he gets things together. I kind of like the kid. I'd love to see him do well, but I'm not involved in that game one way or the other. Gomber pitches for today. What do you call him? What do you say about Gomber? Is your nickname for him? You got some kind of nickname for Gomber, don't you?
No,
No,
not that I can remember this. No.
I thought you had some kind of weird nickname for him, because I was like, damn, that was funny when you said that last year. I couldn't remember what his name was. But
Put it this way, I do. It's somewhere deep in the archives, and it will come to me, and I'll probably text you at 3:45 tomorrow morning and be like, shit, that's what it was.
Austin Gomber. I know you got something. I just can't remember what it is. But anyway, he's got issues spring velocity. So, but I don't trust Lugo, and I'm not going to go play run lines on a team that's not that team's got to hit before I jump on the Padres. Like I said before, I think Cleveland's going to win today, but I don't like them in a favorite role, especially on the road. It's supposed to be cold up there, so maybe they close the roof and it's not so cold in there. But and then tonight's an interesting matchup because the Phillies ain't won yet, and the Phillies need to win. And you got Falter going against Perez, and Perez is he's just a good old boy that hangs around. But it's kind of like this, right? Remember, Perez pitched against Team USA and he got smashed. Well, the Phillies are Team USA. I mean, that's who they are. They got all the goddamn guys for the Team USA. I mean, you got the shortstops out there, the catchers out there, you got the Schwarber out there. I mean, Team USA is on that team. So why aren't they going to hit him again? I would be surprised to see the Philadelphia Phillies get swept by the Rangers. So I know it's not necessarily a great pitching matchup for Philadelphia, but I haven't pulled any triggers on that game. I got all day to figure that out, but I think Philadelphia might be a good lean.
Yeah, the board, like I said, there's a lot of 1-1 matchups. Who wins the series? Weather always a factor. And as we've been going now for the last 45 minutes, I'm getting the lineups come in through Spank Gods, and I'm seeing a lot of the stars play, and and obviously as the season progresses, these guys will be like, Coach, it's Sunday, but a lot of these guys also get the, what really irks the poop out of me is, they'll give them that certain day off, and they'll give them the Wednesday off, so they got 2 days off in a row, and they don't play till Friday night at 9:00. So they're almost getting 3 days. But the matchups again, there's some good matchups. There's some names. Actually, you know what? Before we wrap it up here, again, give me the Scotty. I knew yesterday it was kind of comical. It was a giant number yesterday against the Yanks, and they rally the troops and they win. They're rolling out Jay Brito now. I don't know who Jay Brito is, so can you give us the scouting report on Mr. Brito?
Johnny Brito is going to throw 97 miles an hour for the New York Yankees today. Question is going to be is obviously he's a young kid, but the question is going to be is whether or not that affects him being in New York, being in a big stage. Can he throw strikes? If he can throw strikes, then this game, what's the number now? -150, something like that, 160.
My opening number right now for the Yankees was a 130 with an 8.5. Right now at Circa, it's 143 with an 8 and pointing down. Grab the Giants plus 131.
Yeah. So if people know who Brito is and Brito can go out and throw strikes, this number would be 150, 160. That's how good he is. Now the question becomes: is he going to be able to withstand, all the hype and circumstance of his first start and being there and all that stuff? Which, in this particular case, it's not like, okay, the guy got hurt and then you get called and you got to get on a plane and you're up there the next day and you don't have time to think and you're out on the mound. he knew this. He knew he was going to pitch today. So he's been preparing for this kind of stuff. But in a fair world, in a fair price, and a fair number, I think this number would be more like 150, 160 once people figure out who he is. So you're getting value to bet the Yankees today at minus 130. I'll be honest. Anytime you're betting Yankees at home, it's kind of like the Dodgers. If you can find a way to bet the Dodgers at minus 130 at home against anybody, you just do it because they don't lose at home. And it's kind of like that. You know what I mean? I mean, I don't mean that the Yankees don't lose at home either. So it's kind of like that. You go and you say, oh, well, shit, the Yankees don't lose at home. Who are they playing? The Giants? Well, the Giants are throwing Stripling. Oh, hell, they've seen Stripling 8 million times. What? Stripling has got minus 2 miles an hour velocity. He's going to be throwing lollipops up there. Let's go get him. And that's probably what will happen.
Scotty, the scroll has been going the whole time. You and I will be back Tuesday night at 7 o'clock. We will then follow it up with Thursday night at 9 o'clock. We get everyone set up for, we'll have some Friday lines. We can get everyone set up for Friday. And then either Saturday or Sunday mornings that you and I will be getting everyone caught up. But other than Twitter at Webby20MLB, tell everyone about your packages, your service, and what else you're offering and where to find it.
Well, I mean, it's been a couple years since I've done this, so I'm not trying to make money on anybody. I'm really not. It just helps me pay for all this stuff. It helps you pay for the website that's $300 a year. It helps you pay for trying to get the apps that you have to buy to create content and create these little things that you send out on Twitter all the time. And like if I'm out of the office, this shit still goes out. So I pay a service for that. And I do, all that stuff. It costs money. So I only charge $49 a month, Jeff. And that's not much. And if you want to pay for the whole year, it's $200. I mean, it's $200. But I work and I work and I work and I work and I gamble. I will tell you this. Every single play I ever give out, every single thing that I say, if I say I'm on it, that means I bet it. I personally bet it. Now, I'm in Florida, so I don't have legalized gambling here yet. So I have offshore accounts, and I have accounts, and I bet in those accounts. So it's not like I'm not risking my own money. And trust me when I tell you, I would rather make money doing that. But at the same time, just having the service helps me do these things, and also helps me pay for all the little things in the office that I got to do to get this stuff done. So it's $49. Anyway, I only got a few guys in it right now. There's like 5 guys that are there. So more than willing to have a lot more people. So come on along. But, there's a link on the website, www. I don't remember. Did we tell that before? We have to say www all the time. I keep thinking I don't have to say that anymore. But it's mlb-daily.com. You go there and just click a link and you can sign up.
The one and only Beam Him Up, Scotty. Go follow him at Webby20MLB on Twitter. Jump onto the website. Take a look around there. Great information. We didn't even talk about the Webby odds. We'll talk about the Webby odds on Tuesday. Everyone here, enjoy Sunday Fun Day. We like to call it Family Day. Out there right now in the trenches, it's called Quicksand Sunday. And so if you're chasing and you're down this week, that means you're not an ECSI VIP guy. And again, we end the week 9-4-1 plus 4.30 units. Our 14th winning week in the last 19 weeks. So they're 1 week away from 20 weeks. And in my math, 20 weeks is 5 months. 14 winning weeks, 2 losing weeks, and 3 pushes. So again, come find us at www.eastcoastsportsinvestors.com or just go over to Twitter at EC Sports Invest. If you're not following me, follow me. I'll follow you back. If you need to talk to me, send a DM. And last but not least, you can always send an email at eastcoastsportsinvestors@gmail.com. And last but not least, always wager responsibly. If you do have a problem, pick up the phone. There's an 800 number. Believe it or not, it's 800-GAMBLER. Okay, pick it up. Why? Because me and Scotty care. We want to see you here today, tomorrow, next week, next month, through 2023 and beyond. From myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, from the one, the only Mr. Scotty Webb at Webb 20 MLB. We wish everyone a blessed day. Stay in your lanes, have some fun. It's family day, and we'll see you next week.